Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Amna Gul from the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. We're back with the course Development Support Communication, bearing the code GMC 413. It's our 17th lecture today, and the topic is Characteristics of Social Change. Change is a process. Change denotes any alternation, difference, or modification that takes place in a situation or in any object through time. It is the universal law of nature. It refers to the difference that exists between the past and the present situation. Change is an ongoing process. We all know that, and we have already discussed these things previously as well, that no society remains completely static. Since society is subject to constant change, the term social change refers to changes taking place in human society. Basically, the changes in human interactions and interrelations indicate social change. Society is the network of social relationships, hence social change obviously implies a change in the system of social relationship. So any difference or any modification or transformation in the established pattern of human interaction and standards of conduct amounts to change. We have already had a discussion of social change, but today we'll go more deep into it, as the phenomena of social change is not simple but complex. Plus, it is very, very vast and a complicated process. It is a process in which we always face problems in its conditions, forms, limitations, directions, sources, causes, as well as consequences. But it would be worthwhile to analyze the nature or the characteristics of social change for clear understanding, and this we are going to discuss in today's lecture. We'll go through the characteristics one by one. So the first one is change is social. Social change means a change in the system of social relationship. Social relationship is understood in terms of social process, social interactions, and social organizations. So in any variation of social process, social interactions, and social organizations, social change takes place. In another instance, it is found that society is like an organization which never dies. New civilizations and societies come up by replacing old societies and thereby retaining some of its elements in its change. Thus, social change is different from individual change. Its causes and consequences are always social, which make it social. See, individual change is actually limited to one individual or an isolated group or so. Social change is actually a large-scale change which occurs in a society or in a community. Types of social change can be anything. For example, we have witnessed so many social changes. Those social changes can be about dressing, can be about consumerism. Those social changes can be about how we celebrate events, or the lifestyle, the type of food or the quality of food, or opinions about, for example, liberation, or about enlightenment, or about freedom of expression. So these are all actually social changes that have occurred over time. We are in the process of social change ourselves. We have witnessed, even though you are quite young, but still you yourself have witnessed quite many changes. For example, the social changes relevant to acceptance for usage of technology. See that you have witnessed smartphones and stuff, or so many other things have become quite prevalent. In your younger days, you might be remembering, yes, we did have a discussion rather over it, that, for example, fast food and dine-outs were not that in. Now, there has been a change in this in the attitude towards fast food or consuming meals outside. It is very common. Previously, it was not like that. So this is a change that has occurred. Same is the case with the expenditures. Same is the case for education, quality of education, who should get education, how much education people are allowed to have. This is changing over time. This is another social change. So change is basically social because it comes on a societal level, and it has its own social ramifications. Secondly, change is universal. Social change is universal because it is present in all societies and at all times. No society remains completely static. This society may be primitive or modern, rural or urban, simple or complex, agrarian or industrial. It is constantly undergoing change. The rate or the degree of change may vary from society to society, from time to time, but every society keeps on changing. A changeless society is not a reality. There is no society that is not subject to change. Everything within a society is undergoing change, but some changes are actually easy to feel, easy to see, or their pace is fast enough to witness them. Some other changes, they are very slow, gradual, and they're not that prominent. They're subtle changes, but change takes place. So change is universal. It happens everywhere in all sorts of societies. The third change is continuous. Social change is a continuous process and not an intermittent one, because the changes are neither stopped nor the societies are kept in museums to save them from change, like they are not preserved in a certain place or in a certain way. There's no such process or no such concept. So change is an ongoing process without any break. In the process of change, every society grows and decays, where it finds renewal and accommodates itself to various changing conditions. The sources, direction, rate, and form of change may vary from time to time, but it is always continuous. Once again, change is continuous. It does not have a starting and an ending point. Social change, the changes keep on happening and happening and happening. For example, in Pakistan was a clear-cut agrarian society, but then with the passage of time, slowly and gradually industries started coming in and in and in. With the passage of time, the whole lifestyle changed. For example, with industries came urbanization. This was another change. Since there were more products in the market, people started consuming more products. This was another change. Then the quality of products, the change in lifestyle owing to those products. You might not know that. For example, there were times when people did not have, for example, dishwash bars. There was a time people did not have dishwash bars. They used to use sand to wash dishes. Or for example, so you see, things are changing. And for example, the clothing, you look at the pictures of your parents, even grandparents, family photos, or you visit museums, you come across so many things that were different in previous times. From the type of clothing or the hairstyle or even the expressions. Like, for example, it was not common around 100 years ago, it was not common for people to smile for pictures. You know that? Because taking pictures took a lot of time, so actually shooting time was a little longer. People did not smile for pictures. They would have all pictures in one expression. That kind of like a serious one expression. So you'll find it very difficult to come across pictures that were 60, 70 years earlier pictures that had even 50 years ago that had people smiling in them. So there are changes that are taking place. It's such simple things as expressions or giving expressions. Because of the change in technology, there came a change in the types of expressions people display for taking photographs. So this is all change going on, and it is continuous. It keeps on happening all the while. Then fourth, change is inevitable. It is the human nature that desires change, and also it is in his tendency to bring change and to oppose or accept change. Human wants are unlimited, which always keep on changing. To satisfy these wants, social change has become a necessity, not only to him, but also to the society. We cannot stop change. We cannot avoid change. We cannot, once again, preserve the society in a museum or something to ensure no change comes in. All those people who have tried, for example, there have been different social setups who have tried to avoid change, to hamper change. But change is inevitable. It has to happen. Rather you oppose it or you accept it, change has to happen. Social change happens. It is inevitable. No doubt you can speed up the process, you can slow down the process depending on what kind of change is happening, but it has to happen. You can just do a bit towards it, but nothing much. Then the fifth point, change is temporal. Social change is like temporal. Change in anything or any object or in a situation takes place through time. Time is the most important factor, and social change denotes time sequence. Innovation of new things, for example, or even their modification or renovation of existing behaviors even, it takes time. I did discuss this earlier as well, that over time being a bit bold is in. If you remember, it was by the end of last century, being bold was not a common thing. Being rude was not an acceptable thing. But with the dawn of this century, things have changed differently. Being bold is common. Every other person is bold. Being rude is common. These are behaviors. These have changed over time. And so social change is temporary or permanent on the basis of time. Sometimes social changes may bring about immediate results, while some other may take years to produce results. Similarly, some social changes spread rapidly and also disappear rapidly. For example, there is a certain hype or there is a certain trend that comes in. It comes in it takes all over. For example, there are different cartoon characters that come in, or different fashion trends that come in, or different styles that come in. But then they also disappear rapidly. They don't stay for long. So movement, style, fashion, cults, all are the examples of this type. But in the biological process of aging, for example, short time does not cause change. People take time to age. And the change that happens with age, it stays. It doesn't go back. There is no reverse going on in most of the cases, rather in almost all of the cases, except for some people who, for example, when they turn 50 or when they turn 60, and then they all of a sudden realize, no, they need to work out well to improve their health and stuff. So in that cases, they obviously do change things. Sixth, degree or rate of change is not uniform. Though social change is an ever-present phenomena, its degree or rate, or what we call the speed, is not uniform. It varies from society to society, and even in the same society from time to time. Sometimes the degree of change is high and sometimes low, depending upon the nature of the society, like open and close, or rural and urban, or traditional and modern, etc. For example, in the rural social structure, the rate of change is slower because rate of change is not governed by any universal law, whereas it is quick in the urban societies. You see, the rural societies, they are more, they stick to their traditions a bit more. So they take time to accept changes, and they take time to actually display those changes as well. For the urban societies, they do not have very strong roots, be those with attitudes or with behaviors or anything. So they actually tend to accept changes quite quickly, and they like to be innovative. Number 7, social change may be planned or unplanned. Social change takes place sometimes with planning and sometimes without planning. Social change which occurs in the natural course is called the unplanned change. The unplanned changes are spontaneous, accidental, or the product of sudden decision. Usually the change resulting from natural calamities like flood, drought, famines, volcano eruption, etc. are the instances of unplanned changes. In the unplanned changes, there is no control on the degree and direction of social change. It is the inborn tendency of human beings that they desire change. So sometimes they plan programs and projects to bring about change, effective changes in the society. This is called planned change. As it is consciously and deliberately made, there is possibility to have control on the speed and direction of change. For example, the 5-year plans made by government. This is a good enough example of planned change. Social change is multicausal. A single factor may cause a particular change, but it is always associated with a number of factors. The physical, biological, demographical, cultural, technological, and many other factors interact to generate change. This is due to the mutual interdependence of social phenomena. So there never is a single cause for something. There are so many causes into play for any change to occur. Social change creates chain reactions. Yes, this is very true. Social change produces not a single reaction, but chain reactions, as all the parts of the society are interrelated and interdependent. For example, the economic independence of women has brought changes not only in their status, but also a series of changes in home, in family relationships, marriages, even in professions, etc. Prediction of change is uncertain. We can see some elements for prediction in social change, but the prediction we make is uncertain. It is because of 3 reasons. The first one, there is no inherent law of social change that things are going to happen this way and they will result that way. No, there is no such law. The forces of social change may not remain on the scene for all times to come. Once again, the forces behind those social change, they may appear and disappear from time to time. It is dependent. For example, if it were an unplanned change, let's suppose a volcano eruption, so you cannot plan it. Thus, you cannot predict it. The process of social change does not remain uniform. Yes, its speed does not remain uniform because there are times people start accepting those things, so things speed up, and there are times that people do not even believe in it, so things go very slow. And then there are other factors involved in it. For example, money, economy is involved. For example, education is involved. So things are, for example, in certain parts of the community or in the country, the people who are more educated might take up the same change differently than those who are not educated. They may take it differently. So once again, it is not uniform from place to place and from time to time. Then change can be qualitative or quantitative. Social change is not strictly qualitative, and it is not strictly quantitative. In terms of qualitative, for example, the quality of life, it has changed over time. That is kind of qualitative. But once again, the availability of, for example, smartphones or vehicles available, this is a change. It is quantitative change. For example, a couple of years back, not every household owned a car. Now we are moving towards a time that almost every household owns a car, especially in the urban areas. And there are obviously households that own multiple cars. So that is a different thing. When change in social structures, social orders, social values, certain customs and traditions, sociocultural norms, code of conduct, way of conducting oneself in the society, standards, attitudes, customs, and traditions of the society and related factors take place, it is said that there is social change. When there is social change, the process of socialization also changes accordingly. The individual who is an active member of the society becomes an agent and target of social change. He brings social change and also is influenced by such changes. In a particular period or after a gap of several years, each and every member of the universe is subjected to face social change. A particular social order does not continue for several decades, for example, 100 years or more. There is bound to be some change. That's all for today. Thank you.